Copilot is here, but know what? So, welcome to our webinar about Copilot for Microsoft 365 plus the whole Copilot landscape. You probably have heard a lot about it, but probably if you're here, then there has been some confusion or maybe lack of practicality on the messaging around Copilot. So my name is Kristaps Seduls. I'm Employee Experience Solution Manager here at Squalio, and there will be my colleague Roland Svarna joining us in about 15 minutes, who will show you in very practical applications how to use Copilot for M365. But before that, we'll go together through the landscape of Copilots, because as I mentioned, the branding is quite broad, and there's a reason why. So we'll start with the overview, continue with what the Copilot that you already have, but you might not know about it, what that one can do for you, and then we'll continue with Copilot for Microsoft 365 demo. So without further ado, let's jump in. And why Copilot? Why was it even created? So a while back, now 1.5 years ago, pretty much, you probably experienced the big boom of ChatGPT. That finally AI wasn't only for playing chess or playing Go or for some researchers, but even you and your children most probably could simply log into ChatGPT website and start asking it questions and getting surprisingly nice answers, and not something like from web search, but very comprehensive answers and even generated texts. And that opened the doors for Copilots as well, because daily work has some drudgery in it, and this is even easier to say in English than in Latvian, because yeah, the drudgery is quite appropriate word for the things that you don't enjoy in work, which might be some taking one text or taking some numbers and pasting them into another document because the input data is quite messy, or perhaps you're quite a technical person and sometimes you need to write long reports or some user manuals or user guides, or even, God forbid, create presentations and present them. And that's something that you might not enjoy, or which takes a lot out of your time and of your key priorities. And because of that, organizations and especially leaders would love to have more time for their key specialists, key people, to how to innovate and make the business or other organizational work better, the outcomes better for their customers, even if you're in government, and as well to delegate that less fun stuff to AI assistants, because it's visibly possible. And this is where Copilot comes in. As Copilot for Microsoft 365 has been kind of available in closed circle, even from mid last year, there's already been multiple studies that show that, yeah, in fact, those numbers can positively go up, and people can achieve more with Copilot for Microsoft 365. And to clear things up about the Copilot landscape, so you know that there are apps on your smartphones, there are extensions for your web browser, and there are Copilots for your work tools. And that's what Microsoft is apparently trying to do. And looks like it's succeeding. So for each of your work scenario, or for each role, or for each tool within the Office modern work toolset, there is a Copilot. And the first targeting is around some of the roles where artificial intelligence can help the most. For example, sales, software developers, customer service people, where there's already a lot of data. As well, in the IT field, which is security operations and IT administrators. So a lot of things that different copilots can help there, but today we'll focus on knowledge workers, which usually make the vast majority of companies, many service companies, where our primary work tool is our computer. And here's a list of some of the copilots, because we would need another 10 minutes to go through each and every copilot and for you to understand the slight differences. But the most important thing here is that when you have heard some marketing or loud messages about Copilot and described how it can be used in Teams, in Outlook, in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. Those regular, well-known applications. It's mostly Copilot for Microsoft 365, so this one. The others are for some, I wouldn't say niche use cases, but you'll know when you need them. But this Copilot for Microsoft 365 is the most broad one. There's also others, like, for example, GitHub for software, the Dynamics for service and sales, etc. But we're talking about the Copilot for M365 today the most. But remember, there are other Copilots with similar icon, with similar logo, this rainbow-ish thingy. And there's one section for individuals where one part is free, the other one is paid, called Copilot Pro. And for organizations, where the one that you probably already have but might not have used yet is simply Copilot, and the other is this extra add-on license Copilot for Microsoft 365. And the key difference for this one, Copilot for Microsoft 365, is that it's available within the applications you regularly use, and most of the people in your organization regularly uses, and as well it can leverage the data that you already have within your emails, within your chats, documents in SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, etc. And we'll go through both of them, and we'll start with this organization journey with the one that you probably already have. I say probably because there are some nuances, but you probably already have it. So this Copilot, major difference from the ChatGPT, for example, is that it can access current web data. And it lives in your browser as an extension, thus easily available to many people who wouldn't go out of their way to leverage AI in different circumstances, while the Copilot for Microsoft 365 can work with your company data. So those emails, Words, Excel, PowerPoints within SharePoint, etc. And about this one, so you can access it on browser. There will be a link for that as well. It previously was called Bing Chat Enterprise. Some of you might already know it. And it's very easily available when you have signed in with your work account, so your work email. It would show this protected shield, green icon or badge. And if you have any of those licenses for yourself and your colleagues in the organization, you already have this. But if you have some other licenses, then it will be available by the end of June. You might already see it, but it's slowly rolling out to each and every customer who has Entra ID, previously called Azure ID. And you will be able to access it from your work account with the nice commercial data protection. So I hope that this clears things up about the Copilot landscape, but going deeper in what you can do with this one that you already have. So yeah, it has some security features. No one can access the data. It won't happen that the PDF or any other file that you feed to it and ask about it would show up in other users' chat history, as has happened with ChatGPT with the case in USA some few weeks ago. This is fully protected, though it doesn't keep history yet. So the full protection as such. You can access it from any web browser by going to bing.com/chat, or in Edge you can access it on the top right corner on this icon. I'll show you how. And in Windows 11 it's coming near to your start button in your taskbar anytime soon with the latest updates. As well, you can access it in mobile browser. In fact, I use SwiftKey, which is under Microsoft at the moment. I use it on my Apple iPhone. It would be same on Android phone, and I can access this Copilot right from my keyboard to ask questions, to more quickly create emails, answer emails, or to create some pictures. So it's a really nice assistant that I have there. But going forward, what you can do with this Copilot you likely already have, there are numerous use cases. You can do the same things like with ChatGPT. You can draft emails, create images. You can talk with it to learn new skills and understand complicated concepts much more easily. For me and for many of our customers, a very nice key differentiator is that it can work with the documents, especially PDFs that you have in your browser window. And this is the one very short use case that I will demonstrate to you right now. So I'm jumping to my real work environment. And I will open up this Copilot. So you see it on the right of my screen. It has multiple options on the answers. So creative, balanced, precise. I will use precise for this one. There's also option to quickly create like quick shortcuts. So you don't need to write very detailed prompts. You can create text for emails, for some social media posts, for paragraphs that you would input into a document somewhere else. It's very nice and very quickly accessible to you when you're working on something. But in this case, I will use this chat. And I know that there are many listeners, many viewers from Estonia today. So I have utility bill in Estonian. It could be in Latvian, it could be in Lithuanian as well. This time it's in Estonian, and probably many of you have come to a situation when you, from such unstructured info, need to get out data. For example, how much over last 12 months you had to pay for electricity. I will zoom in a bit, or for water, or for some other matters. And typing it or even copy pasting it with this formatting, it's not a very simple task or very quick task. It takes some manual work. And maybe in your company, some similar things are delegated to people who pretty much hate that part, and their time could be used on much more higher priorities where their knowledge and skill can be used. So this is a simple scenario that can take off of these drudgerous work items. So this time in English, but I could do it in Latvian, Lithuanian, Estonian as well. I will type in use this PDF because I want to know, so by month, how much have I paid for water? And I don't care so much about whether it's hot or cold. I just want to know about water. So I'm telling it to use this PDF that I have open right now, and some water consumption per month, output as table. So it will answer from this PDF. And it will also understand. It will also understand that there's the hot water. There's the. I hope that one is hot water. I'm from Latvia, by the way. This one is hot. This one is cold. And Yeah, it's thinking a bit slower than usually this time, but it's giving the output nonetheless. And I told about consumption, not how much I need to pay. So yeah, naturally it gave out that data. In this case, I will leave it to that. The most important thing that I wanted to share with you is that it can output tables, which you can then easily export by simply copying into Excel or put into any other format. And even for some much more complicated use cases than this, it even suggests you some questions to ask further. For example, how my water usage compares to my competitors or to my neighbors, or how to reduce the water usage. And of course, it would give answers. If I had that in Latvian, Lithuanian, and Estonian, it would do the follow-up questions in the local languages as well. And yeah, here be sure that I'm using the protected version, so that's the one for organizations for work. Now, skipping back to the presentation. Before I give word to Roland with the demo, a brief overview of this Copilot for Microsoft 365, or a little more deep dive. So again, it uses the large language models like GPT-4, and it takes also your company data with it. So those Outlook emails, Teams chats, meeting transcripts if they have been in English, and documents. And here a very important note, even if those emails, chats, documents are in your local language, it will still understand it. So currently you still need to prompt it in English, but it understands your documents, your chats, your email messages that are written in any of the Baltic languages, and many others, of course, as well. It does it through translation in the background, but it still does a very decent job on it. And it's available on the Microsoft 365 apps, the regular ones that you know quite well, and the ones like Loop, which you might not be so familiar yet, at least not many of you. And it can help you within meetings. It can help you to find information much faster than it would be normally done by clicking through the folders when you know that Marco sent you something, but you don't remember last week where it was. Was it on Teams chat? Was it on some Teams group? Was it on email? It was in one of these places, but you have a lot of communication with Marco, and you need just one Excel report about the market growth in Baltics. It might be quite time consuming. It would take some 5 to 10 minutes for you to find it manually. With Copilot, it becomes less than a minute. And also content creation. So most of the people wouldn't go for content creation on some outside tools, but when it's right within the environment that they already work in, like PowerPoint, like Word or Outlook, it's much more accessible. As well, there are many use cases for different departments or different roles within the organization for this Copilot, but again, this time I won't go into those. For that, we can schedule a separate conversation with you in particular, but now let's jump to the section that you've probably been waiting on, which is the very practical demo. Be reminded that this will still be a demo, and we cannot show you our own company data. Thus, the examples will be a little bit milder than in real life. Nonetheless, Roland will show you what the tools are capable of. So Roland's giving the screen, not the floor this time, to you.
Yes, thank you. Let me share my screen. Okay, I think we're good. Yes, greetings to everyone who has joined us today. My name is Roland, and first of all, thanks to Kristaps for the introduction and general description of Copilots. Hopefully some clarity has been gained on the different Copilots, what is available to whom, and what we can do with them. And I do have to say that the Copilot that is already included in your Microsoft licenses can really be a good help in your daily work. What Kristaps has shown you is just a small part of what you can do, even with the free version of Copilot. But obviously, we want to look at the big one and see how it performs. So for a while now, Microsoft has relaxed the threshold that you need to meet to be able to buy and use Copilot for Microsoft 365. Uh, Before, this minimum was relatively difficult to achieve, especially for smaller companies with fewer employees. But now these AI tools are available to basically everyone, and you can buy 1, 2, 5, 10 licenses and see how Copilot can really help you. But I think it's time to take a look at what Copilot for Microsoft 365 can really do. And under this name, Copilot for Microsoft 365, there are many different Copilots in all of your favorite Microsoft applications. But one AI tool is not really associated with any particular application, and that is Microsoft 365 Chat or Copilot right here in your Office.com environment. At its core, Microsoft 365 Chat is similar to the experience you can get in Copilot with Edge. You can request summaries of emails, various other events. You can generate content and basically get the answers you're looking for. So what we can ask this chat now. So you have already met my colleague Kristaps, and I'll just ask, when was my last meeting? And we put in slash. Slash is how we tell Copilot, is it people, is it files? So we'll choose Kristaps here. And when was my last meeting with Kristaps? I forgot the with word there, but it should work either way. And in a few seconds, we see that my last meeting with Kristaps was about 20 minutes ago, which is pretty much when this meeting started. So it gives us this information. Obviously, I can also look for this information in my calendar, but if there's a colleague with whom you communicate less, we can also find such information from this chat. We can also, speaking of communication, we can also ask, when was my last communication with, and I'll also choose Kristaps for this example, and we ask this question. So communication includes any exchange of information, not just Teams meetings, but also emails and chats. So we see my last communication with Kristaps was a couple of hours ago. But you can also ask different questions and help not only about your colleagues, but also about ourselves. So we have 1 week left in February, but 1 month of this year has already passed. And as I recall, for me, January was quite a busy month. So I would like to understand how many meetings I actually had in January. So I'll just copy this prompt I have already prepared. How many meetings I had in January, exclude meeting details. So in a short while, it should present us the information it can gather. So based on the information I have, you had a total of 33 meetings in January. So we see that I've had 33 meetings, and also I did specify exclude meeting details so that this window doesn't fill up with more details about what these meetings were and with whom. So because I don't think everyone needs to know who I have met and what we have talked about. But what else we can find out? So I think I also received fewer emails than usual in January. So it would be interesting to know in terms of time, how much time I actually spent answering emails. So let's just ask that, how much time I have spent answering emails in January. So let's ask Microsoft 365 chat for that. And again, it processes your prompt. It looks for time spent answering emails in January, and shortly we should have an answer for this. Shortly we should have an answer. Yeah, the speed also varies from time to time, so be aware of that. Not always is going to be very quick. So sometimes you will need to wait for your answer. It seems like it hung on my question this time, but it should be good. It should be good nonetheless, and we should see our answer. We should see our answer soon. Okay, let's stop generating this. Let's ask for it again. Maybe this time it works quicker. Sorry, something went wrong. That's okay. I'll try you one more time. And let's hope that this time it does give me some answer. Maybe it works with a lot of prompts at this moment, so it kind of froze for me. But in general, within seconds, I can find out how much time, how much hours I've spent in January answering emails. It started working on the prompt. But yeah, I can ask many more questions of this type and just find out a lot of information about myself, how I spend my time, where does my time goes daily, whether it's in emails or in meetings. I can ask about any particular meetings. So yeah, we can definitely work with that. And finally, I have response. And yeah, something did went wrong because I've spent more than 0 minutes answering emails in January. Uh, but anyway, let's continue. Yeah, you can ask more questions like that, but I have another example for you. So here we have two Excel files. Here we have two Excel files, and one of the files is companies we work with, and the other is a list of companies that we get from Microsoft every month with various additional information. We have to compare these lists and see which companies we can continue to work with and which companies we need to pay attention to, change the way we work with them, and so on. Specifically, right here, we have 10 or so companies on these lists, but the reality is that these lists are much longer, and there could be any kind of documents. They could be your inventories and stuff like that. But as I said, usually we have to manually compare these lists, and if these lists are long, it will take a lot of time. So it would be good to automate this process. So I'll just ask Microsoft 365 chat to help us, and I'll write in prompt, compare entries in slash, and this time we won't choose our colleagues, we will choose files. My first file is Outlook test, and again slash, let's choose a file. My second file is Squalio clients, and find if there are any matches. And let's ask for that. Let's wait what it gives out to us. It's combing through our documents, and it says that there are several matches, and we see that all the matches here, that a couple of these companies appear on both lists. Okay, so we know now that we have to pay attention to that. We see the names of companies that appear on both lists, but I'm also interested in the legal status of these companies because we need to understand how and whether we can continue to cooperate. So we enter the following prompt. What is the legal status of the matched entries? Let's ask for this, and maybe Microsoft 365 chat can help us. It looks for legal status of all the companies it found that matched in both lists, and soon enough it should give us an answer. It should give us an answer, and it's convenient, yes, if you have a lot of long lists, so you don't have to manually do the work, and also just for quicker to gain that information quicker, so you don't have to do all that manual work and then compare them separately. But yeah, based on the information it found that Chris Rapp is active, Studio is active, Hillside is banned, and it couldn't find information, so something went wrong. But if we do compare the lists, if we see the lists, we see that Hillside is banned, Chris Rapp is banned, so that's great. Now we found some great information that we can use going forward. So of course you can do many other cool things here, but let's move on to our next application, and let's go to Microsoft Teams this time. So if you have Copilot functionality in Microsoft Teams, you have a possibility to create meeting recaps and any kind of reports on what really happened during the meeting, what was discussed, what questions were asked, and if there's any work you need to do. And this is great if you ever happen to either miss a meeting or have several meetings on the calendar at the same time. With the meeting recap, you can also get all the information you need afterwards, ask your questions, and still keep up to date with what's going on. For this to work, your organization's administrator must allow you to create a transcript of the meeting. And if this is done, you will then have access to those meeting recaps. And here we had a meeting with Kristaps, and under recap, I can see the transcript. I can see the transcript of the meeting. I can even download the transcript if I need to, but I can go through everything we talked about, what was said when, at what time. So this is one of those ways of understanding what was actually said in the meeting and which staff member, which person said what and when. But we also have a separate Copilot section here. And if I click on that, here I can see that meeting recap. I can understand what our meeting was really about, what was discussed, and what were the key moments. What were the key moments and actions during the meeting? And of course, we don't only get the summary of the meeting, but we can also ask questions. So here, for example, I ask, were there any unanswered questions in the meeting? So, and the Copilot says that no, it's all good. There were no unanswered questions in the meeting, and what we asked and what were the answers. I can also ask what was the tone of the meeting, and Copilot says that the tone of the meeting was mostly friendly and casual, with some jokes and laughter, and we seem to be on good terms and cooperative. And as far as I remember, it really was like that. Did we arrange anything during the meeting, and so on and so forth. And we can go on asking different questions. I also ask here who was the more active speaker during the meeting, and it tells me that based on the number of utterances in the transcript, Kristaps was the more active speaker because he spoke 140 times while I spoke 97. So a lot of interesting information you can find out by just asking simple questions, and we can find out a lot of different details about this meeting and pretty much be informed about everything. Of course, it's not a good practice to delay meetings, to miss meetings, and we should not do that. But we also tend to forget things. And then with the meeting recap, we can revisit these things and see what our next steps are and then what was discussed during those meetings. Copilot is also available in chats. So let's go to one particular chat. Here we had our compliance training in the office. Yeah, I chose this chat, for example, and here you see a Copilot button in the right upper corner. We open Copilot and we can get some basic information from the chat. We can ask about some highlights from the last 30 days, for example. Now, this conversation was pretty short, so there won't be a lot of details. But the fact is that with Copilot in Teams, you can explore not only something about a specific meeting, but also about an individual chat. You can ask questions in a similar manner that you would do about a meeting. So you can find a lot of details, a lot of information, highlight some certain points, so you can work with this pretty well. Okay, let's jump to our next application, and that is Microsoft Outlook, our email writing and viewing software. And first of all, you have to use the new version of Outlook to access the Copilot functionality. So if you have a Copilot license, but you still don't see any Copilot buttons, check that you have turned on the latest version of Outlook. Once that is done, we have several ways we can use Copilot in Outlook. First, we can go and write a new message. So here I click on new email. And when you start to write a message, you can see in this writing field that you can write a message you can draft with Copilot. And likewise, also at the top, there is a Copilot button, which you can choose. And figure out what you want to do with the Copilot. In this case, I want to draft with Copilot, and we see a new kind of pop-up window opens up. And as we're talking about Copilot in Outlook, let's just ask Copilot to write me an email about Copilot in Outlook. So let's just ask for that. Write me an email about Copilot in Outlook. And here we can figure out how we want this email to sound, whether the tone needs to be direct, neutral, casual, formal, or it can be a whole poem. And also what will be the length of this message, whether it be short, medium, or long. I'll just leave all my options as they are and write me an email, and I'll click on generate. So after we figure out what we want to see from Copilot, we just click the generate button, and in a short while we have our email ready with some basic information and the subject of Copilot in Outlook. We can keep this preview, we can delete it, or try to generate something again. We can also add something to the current template, such as an email or maybe a phone number, or we can keep working on it and improving it. But let's just save our message, and we can send it to the recipient of our choice. Let's discard this one. We can also analyze a conversation. If you had a long conversation with someone, Copilot can help you understand what it was all about. So I open up this email from Kristaps, and we had a longer conversation here. And when I open an email, I see that I have had a correspondence with Kristaps, and I see a summary by Copilot button here. So let me just click on that, and it almost right away here, but many of times it will take a little bit of time. It gives me a summary of what we have talked about. And in the summary, we can see briefly that I asked Kristaps for his thoughts on a document I sent. The Kristaps appreciated the document and I thought I did a great job comparing modern work plans. But he also requested clarification on the pricing for business licensing and the feature comparison versus enterprise plans. So even long correspondence we can summarize in such a few short sentences to better understand what are the key points in all our conversation. And this is especially useful if you have a conversation that involves a lot of people, because people's names are highlighted, things to be done are highlighted, and instead of having to look for a long time where is your name mentioned or what we should do, we can just quickly summarize everything with Copilot. So here it is. And of course, we can also reply to this email, to this summarization. And let's ask Copilot to write us an email saying that I'm on a vacation until March 1st. So tell Kristaps, sorry, I need to turn on my Copilot. Let's click on the Copilot button, draft a Copilot. Tell Kristaps that I'm on a vacation till March 1st, and that I'll look into this when I'm back. So I just tell in general the idea, what I want my email to be about, and it quickly should generate me a draft of that email. And here we see it. I appreciate your request for further clarification. Unfortunately, I'm on vacation. I'll make sure to follow up with you as soon as possible once I'm back. So it basically took our idea, what we wanted to write there, and it went for it. So just a few seconds, we have our reply ready, and that's how we can use all of Copilot's features to deal with emails quickly and also, more importantly, professionally. One more thing we can do here is let's discard this one and let's just write a new email. When writing a new email, we have the possibility to use Copilot as our coach. So let's say I have this message prepared right here. I have this message prepared right here. Let me just paste it. And this time, let's choose coaching by Copilot. and it will analyze our email and basically give us suggestion on what needs to be improved and how does our email sounds. And you can see that I have a lot of grammatical errors here. So let's see what Copilot tells us about this particular email that I'm about to send to one of our colleagues. So, and what do we see? First of all, the tone. We could be more polite. The tone of the email is too informal and demanding, and instead, and it actually gives us suggestions. So in this example, instead of read my or grammatically wrong words, the email could say, please read my message, or I hope you have read my message. Also, it says for reader sentiment that we could show more appreciation. The email should start with thank you for your previous emails, or I appreciate your prompt emails. And if I look at it, yeah, I never said thanks. I just basically was demanding for my colleague to respond and be quick. And at the end of the day, it also sounds too vague and confusing. It does not specify what tasks I want the reader to do. And if I look at my email once again, it really is constructed in that matter. Just respond, write back to me, read my message, but respond to what? So Copilot could be, coaching by Copilot could be a great help with you just constructing those emails, seeing how you actually communicate with your colleagues or clients, and giving you those valuable insights on how you can become better at writing emails that people on the other end would actually want to read. And you can also regenerate it a few more times because it will give you some different insights each time. It will point you to your grammatical errors, etc. So you can really use that. So many things, many cool things we can do here with Copilot in Outlook. But let's go now to our original Office applications, which are Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. And this time, let's start with Microsoft Word. When you go into Word, like in Outlook, where we would write a document, we have a little Copilot icon. And if I click on that, it opens up the Copilot window, which is what we are going to use. And so we are talking about Copilot today. So I will just ask to write me a document about a Copilot. So write me a document about Copilot for Microsoft 365, and let's just generate. And what it should do now, I basically gave some context, what I want to see in my document, and what Copilot will do. It will write me something about Copilot for Microsoft 365. And if you're just starting, if you're on a blank document, you don't know what you want to talk about or how to start your document, this could be a great help to you, as it will generate some information based on all the information it can find on the internet, and you will have a starting point for your whole document. And yes, in a very short while, we already have our document filling up with some information about Copilot, how to activate Copilot, how to use Copilot, and it will continue to generate something. Yeah, let's just wait for the generation to end. Yes, and that's it. We have something about Copilot for Microsoft 365, and we can keep this. We can keep this version, we can regenerate it, or we can discard this version. In this case, I'll just keep this version, and I didn't see anything about Security Copilot, so I'll just ask Copilot again to add a paragraph about Security Copilot, and let the Copilot fill up my document even more. And in a matter of seconds, we should have a meaningful document made out of nothing, made out of basically nothing. And okay, here we have something about security and privacy. Obviously, you need to go through that information. Not every time you will like all the information it gives you, but that's why you need to look over things. We can also rewrite certain sections if we don't particularly like a certain section of the document. we can just select the whole section, right mouse click and rewrite with Copilot. And what will it do? It will rewrite the section you selected, and it will offer you some possibilities of how you could replace that section with different information. So here we have three choices of how we could replace this information. We can replace it, or we can insert it below for comparison, or we can just change the tone to be neutral, professional, casual, etc. Also, when you press on Copilot button here, you see that there are three buttons. One is generate, reference a file, and inspire me buttons are also present. And reference a file button, we can reference another file and create a new document based on that, while the inspire me button we will use when something is already written in the document, and we can just continue to work with some new ideas to complete that document. So there you go. And we can also use Copilot from here, the right top corner. We press on Copilot. We get some suggestions of what we can actually do. We can also summarize documents. We can change something or just ask a question about this document. So it's not only content generation. We can also ask a question such as, tell me about important Microsoft Word shortcuts. Let the Copilot think for a bit of what I asked him. It's pulling things together. It should give us answer really soon. And yeah, this response isn't based on a document. It was just a question, but here are some Microsoft Word shortcuts that can help me work more efficiently. And so create content, ask for different things, and don't be afraid to try. In Word and in general, even if Copilot can't do something for you, it will at least tell you how to do it. But okay, let's move on to our next application, and that is Microsoft Excel. So as for Excel, I have a file here with different numbers. And first of all, when we turn on Microsoft Excel, we see that the Copilot here is still in preview mode, which means that there will be a lot of different improvements that will be present in the future, and things that you want to do right now might not work yet. Anyway, I'll leave all the hard tasks for you to test with your own Copilot licenses. But for my part today, here I have a table, and I see that this table has different field values. So this field value is number, then we have currency, then we have general. And when I'll be working with formulas or working in general more with this file, it will really bother me, and it will really give me out some errors I wouldn't want to see. So what we will do is, Excel is really good at recognizing columns. So for me to work with this document successfully further, I'll just prompt Copilot for this one. Change every cell in column C and column D to number, because when I will try to count these numbers, it just won't work. It just won't work because not each, but a lot of values of the fields are just different, and it won't work properly. So I'll just ask Copilot to change every cell to a number. And as we see, the dollar signs are gone and everything is good. Now we actually have a number as a value for each field in our Excel. It took a while, but our values are swapped, and we see that everything is good now. But for me to work further with the formulas, I would definitely need the same decimal separator. Here, as we can see, I have a dot as a decimal separator. I have a comma as a decimal separator. So we would want to change that to work with numbers further. So I'll just ask to change all decimal separators. Let's stop generating because I didn't select. Let's select the section we want Copilot to work on, and change all decimal separators in selected section to dot. And what will happen very, very soon, in a matter of seconds, because it's already showing that it's finishing up my prompt. Okay, let's just wait a bit more. yeah, sometimes it will take a good bit before it actually does something or changes something that you asked for. Um, yeah, it's how Copilot works now. But it should change all decimal separators for me, and from now on, I can easily then work with that document further, work with formulas, and not be afraid that something won't work just because each cell had a different decimal separator. Okay, it's working really slow. Let's just wait for a couple more seconds here. But it actually works. It actually works. I don't know why it takes so much time this time, but it actually works. And yes, so you can use that in the future. Maybe a lot of people are using Copilot right now, and it's just not working as expected time-wise. Uh, Okay, let's not hang on this one. Let's stop generating it. But yeah, you can do a lot of things here in Excel. You can also color specific texts, ask questions about functions, and so on. And compared to all other Copilots, it's probably Excel Copilot that will get the most new things in the future. So keep an eye on that for sure. But let's go to our last Copilot for the day, and it's our PowerPoint. So for the first example, we have a presentation with a lot of different titles in different formats and different font sizes, and we wouldn't want to show that presentation to anyone in public. So we'll just ask Copilot to format title of every slide to font Times New Roman and font size 30. And you can choose whatever font you want, whatever size you want. You can also work in a similar manner with text, not only title, but it's pulling things together. And soon enough, we should have everything. We should have everything changed. And yes, as you can see, title right now is Times New Roman font size 30. Title here is also 30. So each title now is in one similar font and font size. So that worked out beautifully. And for our final example today in PowerPoint, we have a totally blank presentation here. Let's click on the Copilot button, let it warm up a bit, and let's ask our prompt to create a beautiful presentation about artificial intelligence. Since we're talking about artificial intelligence now and copilots in general, I think this is a great ending to our short Copilot journey for today. We can use this type of functionality when we don't have any files that are ready. We just have a hunch or a topic we want to make a presentation about. It's working on my presentation, but soon enough we should have a nice short presentation about AI. Yeah, it's pretty slow. Usually it works a lot quicker, but here we have it. We have a nice, cool, design-wise, short presentation about AI. We can ask Copilot to add a particular slide or change some pictures or replace the text. We continue to work with all this information we have just generated. But the fact is that this is a great tool to help us work more professionally, work faster, save time, and possibly show us some new ideas. So it's a really beautiful presentation from nothing that was created really quick. And this is just the small part of what Copilot for Microsoft 365 can do for you. And you can probably only understand how Copilot can help you in your everyday life by actually using and testing it yourself. But that's it from my side today. I hope you liked what I showed, and you may already have some ideas on how you can apply these features on your everyday life. But thank you for your attention, and I give the floor once again to Kristaps. Kristaps?
Thank you very much, Roland. It was another insightful demo from your side, and I like how you slightly switch up the scenarios each time you present, because yeah, the Copilot use cases are quite vast. But now to wrap things up, there are many options how you can use Copilot for Microsoft 365 and multiple tools where you can already find it. But the practical side is that the organizations that already have it have shown through surveys, through studies, that the benefit is real. And it's not something revolutionary yet, meaning that on every week of every 40-hour work week, you would save, let's say, 20 hours. But you can certainly save in each day on some rather boring and repetitive tasks, or creative tasks as well. You can surely save something between 50 to 45 minutes, which means there's at least half an 1.5 hour each week, which can be spent on other activities. If you're in HR, it might mean that you can finally do that one thing about onboarding that you were kind of putting off for a long time. For example, working on a new onboarding course. If you're in IT, you can finally explore that new technology that you were trying to implement, for example, in your office Wi-Fi, for the Wi-Fi to be more secure, or finally set up something more sophisticated for your server data protection. And those examples could go on. People especially like the service and sales people metrics, where more service requests can be handled, or of higher quality, or as well more opportunities, sales opportunities can be handled by each salesperson every week. And it adds up. It's a numbers game. So these small benefits are for you to judge whether this, let's say, 4 or 5 hours per month are worth it for the particular employee. Because not in every case you would hire assistant for every person, but you would certainly do it for some, and those $30, 30 euros per month probably will cost will cover the cost many times multiplied for about 20 to 50% of your knowledge workers already at this point of Copilot for M365 maturity, and it will only grow. But yeah, there are multiple use cases that we didn't go through today. Together with us, we can or you can discover more on them for your particular departments where you believe some improvements, or your processes where some improvements could be made using AI. And if you didn't see what you expected today, or you think that hey, there's almost, the Copilot is almost there already, but there's something more it could do with a particular application or with your own data, then good news, with every license you purchase, you also get, the users get Copilot Studio, which basically means that you can create your own Copilot with your own systems. So for example, if a manager of a customer service unit with 20 people in it would ask how many minutes my people spent on training, on customer support, on calls, on email, on chats, and as well on breaks. That information could be accrued from multiple sources and simply output as a table or as a list within the M365 chat. So there are very vast amount of use cases that you can have there, and the value adds up. But for the Copilot for M365, what's important for you to consider is your internal readiness, both from IT security and infrastructure perspective, as well as from people perspective. So what tools are they using currently? If they are using Outlook, Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, then the readiness is already there for your people. So another matter is from the IT cloud infrastructure. So that's something that we can help you assess as well. If you feel that currently people are too much relying on some other cloud services and you've been for example, or your own internal file server, and you've been looking for an excuse to finally put it to rest and go to OneDrive, SharePoint, Teams, then this might be a good opportunity, and we can also help you with your employee readiness. And we help with that on both the front of Microsoft 365 and all of the Copilots that you just saw. And for that, in fact, we have this introductory offer or service where we help you and your team to understand what Copilots are, how they can be used, and not only in general terms like we did today, because the audience today, thankfully, I guess, you're quite broad. There are IT people, HR people, business development people amongst you. So we showed quite broad examples, but with your particular organization, we would go much more in detail and find the exact scenarios 1, 2, 3, which you can start using Copilot for M365 in. So that's Copilot Head Start. And thank you very much for being with us, and have a happy and productive day. And if you have any questions about Copilot left, then you know how to reach us at squalia.squalia.com. Thank you very much, and see you some other time. Goodbye.